In 1963, the average British housewife cleaned her entire home in 55 minutes flat. No rubber gloves, no branded sprays, no cupboard stuffed with 14 different bottles that all promised to kill 99.9% of bacteria. She used newspaper, vinegar, and a few tricks passed down from her own mother. Today, we spend £3.2 billion a year on cleaning products in Britain alone. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of them do not work as well as what your grandmother already knew. Number 14 on this list was actually banned from cleaning product labels in the 1980s because it made commercial brands look useless. And number 7 uses a chemical reaction that Dettol spent years trying to replicate in a bottle. These 25 tricks were so effective that companies had to invent problems just to sell solutions. Before we start, subscribe, because what you are about to learn will save you money and time every single week. Let us count down the 25 genius grandma tricks that cleaned a British home faster than anything on a supermarket shelf. Number 25. Newspaper for streak-free windows. Before Windoline and Mr. Muscle, your grandmother cleaned every window in the house with 2 sheets of newspaper and a splash of malt vinegar in warm water. She would dip the crumpled paper into the bucket, wring it until damp, and wipe the glass in wide circles. The printer's ink acted as a mild abrasive, lifting grime without scratching. The vinegar cut through grease and evaporated fast, leaving nothing behind. Not a single streak. A whole broadsheet cost twopence and cleaned every window in the house. She did the front parlour windows first because the neighbours would notice. The bedroom windows last because nobody looked up. The entire job took 10 minutes and the house looked like it had been professionally done. Modern glass cleaners leave chemical residue that actually attracts dust faster, meaning you clean more often. Your grandmother's windows stayed clear for a fortnight. Ours need doing again by Thursday. Number 24. Cold tea for polishing wood. That half cup of cold tea left in the pot after breakfast was never poured down the sink. Your grandmother dipped a soft cloth into leftover black tea, wrung it out, and wiped down the dining table, the sideboard, the hallway console. The tannins in the tea fed the wood, deepening the colour and leaving a subtle sheen without any sticky residue. A pot of PG Tips cost a few pence, and she was making it anyway. No extra expense, no extra effort. She would buff the surface dry with a second cloth and the grain would glow warm and rich. Pledge furniture polish arrived in British shops in 1958 and promised a brilliant shine, but it left a waxy build-up that attracted dust and fingerprints within hours. Your grandmother's tea left nothing but clean wood. Some women added a drop of lemon juice for lighter oak, dark tea for mahogany. They matched the brew to the furniture without reading a single label. Number 23. Salt on a fresh carpet spill. The moment someone spilled tea or gravy on the front room carpet, your grandmother moved faster than an ambulance. She grabbed the salt cellar and poured a thick layer directly onto the wet stain. The salt crystals absorbed the liquid before it could set into the fibres. She left it for 10 minutes, then swept it up with a stiff brush. The stain came away with the salt. No scrubbing, no water, no panic. A bag of Saxa cost 6pence and sat in every kitchen. For red wine, she added the salt while the spill was still wet and warm. By morning, you could not find where the glass had fallen. Modern stain removers tell you to blot and spray and wait and repeat. Your grandmother handled it in one step with something she already owned. That front room carpet survived decades of Christmas dinners, children's birthday parties, and Sunday roasts without a single permanent mark. Number 22. Bicarbonate of soda for the oven. Nobody wanted to clean the oven, but your grandmother made it bearable. She mixed bicarbonate of soda with enough water to make a thick paste, spread it across the oven interior, avoiding the heating elements, and left it overnight. By morning, that paste had lifted every burnt-on splatter and blackened drip. She wiped it away with a damp cloth, and the oven gleamed. No fumes, no chemical burns on her hands, no evacuating the kitchen because the spray made everyone cough. A box of bicarbonate cost a few pence from the chemist and lasted months. The alkaline paste broke down carbonized grease through a slow chemical reaction, the same principle that industrial degreasers use today but without the toxic warnings on the label. Oven Pride launched in 1992 and costs £4 a bag. It works, but so did a box of bicarbonate that cost 20 times less and did not require you to open every window in the house. Number 21. Vinegar and brown paper for bruises on furniture. When someone dragged a chair across the floor and left a white heat mark or watering on the polished table, your grandmother did not panic. She soaked a piece of brown paper in white vinegar, laid it over the mark, and pressed a warm iron over the top for 30 seconds. The steam from the vinegar penetrated the wood finish and drew the moisture out of the damaged cells. The white mark vanished. The table looked untouched. This trick appeared in Women's Institute pamphlets as early as 1947 and was passed along at meetings like a state secret. Modern furniture repair kits cost £15 and involve coloured wax crayons and sanding. Your grandmother fixed it with a penny's worth of vinegar and a scrap of packaging. Number 20. Lemon halves for limescale. In hard water areas across the south of England, limescale crusted around every tap, kettle and shower head. Your grandmother cut a lemon in half, pressed it directly onto the chrome and twisted. The citric acid dissolved calcium deposits on contact. She would leave a lemon half sitting on the tap overnight, secured with a rubber band, and by morning the chrome sparkled like new. A lemon cost about 3p. Viacal limescale remover costs £3.50 and smells like a swimming pool. The chemistry is identical. Citric acid breaks the bond between calcium carbonate and metal. Your grandmother just got there 60 years earlier without a marketing department. Number 19. Bread for picking up broken glass. When a glass shattered on the kitchen floor, your grandmother swept up the big pieces and then pressed a thick slice of white bread firmly across the tiles. The soft crumb picked up every invisible splinter and shard that the broom missed. She would work the bread across the floor in overlapping passes, then throw the whole slice away. Children were kept out of the kitchen until the bread test was done. A slice of mother's pride cost next to nothing and prevented cut feet for weeks afterwards. Modern advice says to use damp kitchen roll, but bread is thicker, softer, and presses into grout lines where paper cannot reach. Your grandmother knew that the danger was not the glass you could see, it was the glass you could not. Number 18. Soda crystals in the drain. Before Domestos and Mr. Muscle Sink and Drain Unblocker, your grandmother kept a bag of washing soda crystals under the sink. Once a week, she poured a cupful down the kitchen drain, followed by a kettle of boiling water. The sodium carbonate dissolved grease buildup before it could harden into a blockage. She never called a plumber for a blocked sink. Not once in 40 years. A bag cost £1 and lasted months. The crystals worked by saponifying fats, turning grease into a crude soap that flushed away with hot water. This is the same chemical process that industrial drain cleaners use, just without the hydrochloric acid that eats your pipes. That weekly ritual took 30 seconds and saved hundreds of pounds over a lifetime. Number 17. Damp tea leaves on the carpet before sweeping. Before vacuum cleaners became household standard, your grandmother scattered damp used tea leaves across the carpet, then swept them up with a stiff broom. The tea leaves clung to dust, hair and crumbs, dragging everything up as they were swept. The carpet came up clean and the room smelled faintly of tea instead of dust. She saved the morning's tea leaves in a bowl by the sink specifically for this purpose. Nothing wasted. This trick appeared in household management guides from the Victorian era and persisted well into the 1960s. The moisture in the leaves prevented dust from rising into the air, which was especially important in homes where someone had asthma or bronchitis. Modern carpet fresheners are essentially perfumed powder that you sprinkle and vacuum. Your grandmother's version was free, effective, and already sitting by the kettle. First pattern break. Here is where things get clever. That bottle of white vinegar your grandmother kept under the sink was not just for chips. Distilled white vinegar at roughly 5% acidity is a broad-spectrum antimicrobial. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Health in 2010 confirmed that a solution of vinegar and water killed most common household bacteria on kitchen surfaces. Your grandmother did not know the science. She knew the result. She filled a spray bottle with half vinegar and half water and used it on worktops, the inside of the fridge, the bathroom sink and the kitchen floor. One bottle cost pennies and replaced 4 separate products. Dettol launched their kitchen spray in 1987. charging 15 times more for a solution that did the same job with added fragrance and a label that looked scientific. The entire cleaning aisle at Tesco exists because we forgot that a single bottle of vinegar does most of what those 40 products claim to do. Your grandmother did not need a brand to tell her what clean smelled like. Number 15. Toothpaste on silver. When the good silver went grey before a family occasion, your grandmother squeezed a dab of plain white toothpaste onto a soft cloth and rubbed. The mild abrasive in the paste removed tarnish without scratching. She buffed to a shine, rinsed under warm water, and laid the pieces on a tea towel to dry. The whole cutlery set was done in 20 minutes. A tube of Colgate cost 6pence, and she was buying it anyway. Silver polish cost 2 shillings and stank of ammonia. The toothpaste worked just as well and sat in the bathroom cabinet. She kept a separate tube under the kitchen sink labelled silver in pencil. Nothing fancy, just effective. Number 14. Flour paste for wallpaper cleaning. Soot from coal fires settled on wallpaper and turned floral patterns grey within a season. Your grandmother mixed plain flour and water into a stiff dough, rolled it into a ball, and pressed it against the wallpaper in firm, downward strokes. The dough lifted soot and grime from the paper without wetting it, which would have caused peeling. She worked room by room, kneading the dough fresh when it turned black. This technique was recommended by wallpaper manufacturers in the 1940s, but quietly dropped from their advice when washable vinyl wallpapers arrived. Why tell people about a free solution when you can sell them a new product? Cleaning companies removed this trick from household guides because it made their sponges and sprays unnecessary. A cup of flour cost virtually nothing. That is the problem when your solution is too cheap to sell. Number 13. Rubbing half a potato on the iron sole plate. When the iron started dragging and leaving shiny marks on blouses, your grandmother did not buy a new one. She let the iron cool, then rubbed the flat surface of a raw potato across the sole plate. The starch in the potato dissolved the burned-on residue. She wiped the plate clean with a damp cloth and the iron glided perfectly again. A potato cost a penny. An iron cost a week's housekeeping money. This trick extended the life of an appliance by years. Modern sole plate cleaners come in tubes and cost £5. They contain, among other things, mild acid and starch. Potato starch. Your grandmother skipped the middleman. Number 12. Chalk for grease stains on fabric. When cooking fat splashed onto a blouse or a shirt collar turned grey with grease, your grandmother rubbed a stick of white chalk directly onto the mark before washing. The calcium carbonate in the chalk absorbed the oil, drawing it out of the fabric fibres. She left it overnight, then brushed off the powder and washed as normal. The stain vanished. A box of chalk cost pennies from the stationery shop. Children's blackboard chalk worked perfectly. Stain remover sprays like Vanish cost £4 a bottle and contain surfactants that do the same job less gently. Your grandmother treated delicate fabrics with chalk because it could not damage anything. It just sat there quietly absorbing grease until she was ready to wash. Second pattern break. Controversy incoming. Here is what the cleaning industry does not want you to know. Most household dirt falls into 3 categories: grease, limescale, and biological grime. Vinegar handles limescale. Bicarbonate handles grease. Hot water and soap handle biological grime. That is 3 ingredients. The British cleaning product market sells over 400 different branded products to handle those 3 problems. In 2023, the average British household spent £168 on cleaning products. Your grandmother spent less than £5 a year in equivalent money, and her house was cleaner. She had 5 products under her sink. You have 37. Her surfaces were not streaky. Her drains were not blocked. Her carpets did not smell of synthetic lavender. The cleaning industry invented complexity to sell simplicity back to us at a markup. Number 11. Ketchup on brass. Tomato ketchup cleaned brass door handles, letterboxes, and ornaments better than any proprietary brass polish. Your grandmother smeared a thin layer of Heinz across the tarnished brass, left it for 10 minutes, then wiped clean with a damp cloth. The acetic acid in the vinegar and the citric acid in the tomatoes dissolved the oxidation layer instantly. She would do the front door knocker and the letterbox every Friday morning before the neighbours came round. A bottle of ketchup cost sixpence and lived in the kitchen anyway. Brasso cost more and left a chemical smell on your hands that lasted until tea time. Number 10. Boiling water down the outside drain. Every Sunday morning, your grandmother boiled the kettle and poured it slowly down the outside drain by the back door. This weekly ritual melted grease deposits, flushed food scraps, and prevented the drain from backing up during heavy rain. The entire job took 90 seconds and cost nothing beyond the gas to boil the water. She combined it with a handful of soda crystals once a month for stubborn buildup. Modern drain maintenance involves 8 bottles of enzyme cleaner and annual visits from Dino Rod. Your grandmother never called a drain specialist in her life. That drain ran clear for 40 years on nothing but boiling water and habit. Number 9. Corn flour for window tracks. The aluminium tracks on sliding windows collected grime that no cloth could reach. Your grandmother sprinkled dry corn flour into the tracks, let it sit for 5 minutes to absorb the grease, then brushed it out with an old toothbrush. The tracks came up clean without water, which would have turned the grime into paste. A box of corn flour cost pennies and sat in the baking cupboard. This trick worked on any narrow channel, drawer runners, curtain rails, even the groove on the fridge door seal. Anywhere grime collected in a line too thin for a cloth, corn flour went in dry and came out carrying the dirt with it. Number 8. Used fabric softener sheets for skirting boards. After the tumble dryer finished, your grandmother did not throw away the dryer sheet. She ran it along every skirting board in the house. The residual anti-static coating on the sheet repelled dust, keeping the boards clean for weeks instead of days. One sheet did the entire hallway. The waxy surface picked up existing dust while leaving behind a coating that prevented new dust from settling. This was recycling before anyone called it recycling. The sheets were already paid for, already used, and about to be binned. Your grandmother gave them a second job before they hit the rubbish. Number 7. Vinegar and bicarbonate for the toilet. Your grandmother poured a cup of white vinegar into the toilet bowl, added 2 tablespoons of bicarbonate of soda, and stood back. The fizzing reaction, carbon dioxide gas released by the acid-base reaction, scoured the bowl mechanically while the bicarbonate lifted stains and the vinegar killed bacteria. She let it fizz for 10 minutes, then scrubbed once with the brush and flushed. The bowl gleamed white. No blue chemicals, no warning labels, no gloves required. This reaction produces the same mechanical scrubbing action that expensive foaming toilet cleaners try to replicate. The difference is your grandmother's version cost approximately 3 pence per clean. Harpic Power Plus costs £2.50 and contains hydrochloric acid strong enough to require child safety caps. Number 6. Washing up liquid and vinegar for floors. Your grandmother filled a bucket with warm water, added a squirt of fairy liquid and a splash of white vinegar. That was her floor cleaner for the entire house. The washing up liquid cut grease. The vinegar disinfected and prevented streaks. The warm water loosened dirt. 3 ingredients, 1 bucket. Every floor in the house done in 15 minutes. Flash Floor Cleaner arrived in the 1980s, promising antibacterial freshness. It cost 20 times more and left a film that made lino sticky in summer. Your grandmother's floors dried clean because vinegar evaporates completely. No residue, no build-up, no shoes sticking to the kitchen floor in July. Number 5. Freezing candle wax off fabric. When candle wax dripped onto the tablecloth at Christmas, your grandmother did not scrub. She put the cloth in the freezer for an hour. The wax hardened completely and she cracked it off in sheets with her thumbnail. For any waxy residue left behind, she placed brown paper over the spot and pressed with a warm iron. The heat melted the remaining wax into the paper. The tablecloth came out perfect. This method works because wax becomes brittle below 5 degrees Celsius. Scrubbing warm wax only pushes it deeper into the fabric. Your grandmother understood the physics without knowing the physics. Number 4. Onion halves for the barbecue grill. Before the Sunday roast went in, your grandmother heated the oven rack, speared half a raw onion on a fork, and rubbed it across the hot bars. The onion's natural acids and moisture cut through carbonized grease while the layers acted as a natural scrubbing pad. The rack came up clean in 2 minutes, No wire brush, no chemical spray. The onion went in the bin and the oven was ready. This trick transferred perfectly to barbecue grills in summer. The sulfuric compounds in onion break down carbon bonds at high temperature, which is why it works best on a hot surface. A single onion cost virtually nothing and replaced a 6-pound bottle of oven rack cleaner. Number 3. Denture tablets for stained teacups. Those brown tea stains inside your best china cups drove your grandmother to distraction. Her solution was beautifully simple. Drop a denture cleaning tablet into the stained cup, fill with warm water, and leave overnight. By morning, the cup was white as the day it was bought. The effervescent tablets contain sodium bicarbonate and citric acid, creating a sustained fizzing action that lifts tannin stains without scrubbing. One tablet cost about 2 pence. A box lasted months. Bleach would have done the job, but risked damaging the glaze on fine china. The denture tablet was gentler, designed for delicate surfaces, and your grandmother was clever enough to see the connection. This worked on teapots, vases, and even the inside of thermos flasks. Number 2. Scrunched up newspaper in shoes and boots. Wet shoes by the back door were stuffed with scrunched up newspaper and left overnight on the mat. The paper absorbed moisture from the inside out, pulling dampness from the leather and preventing that sour smell that comes from shoes drying too slowly. Wellington boots after a rainy school run. Dad's work boots after the allotment. Sunday shoes caught in a downpour, all of them rescued by yesterday's Daily Mirror. The newspaper also held the shape of the shoe as it dried, preventing leather from cracking or warping. Modern shoe trees cost £10 a pair. Boot dryers cost £30. Your grandmother achieved both functions with something she had already read and was about to put in the bin. Number 1. The 20-minute room rotation. This was the master trick, the one that made everything else on this list work together. Your grandmother did not deep clean randomly. She rotated. Monday was the front room, Tuesday the kitchen, Wednesday the bedrooms, Thursday the bathroom, Friday the hallway and stairs. Each room got 20 minutes of focused attention using the tricks on this list. Vinegar spray on surfaces, damp tea leaves on carpets, newspaper on windows, bicarbonate in the oven once a week. By Friday evening, every room in the house had been deep cleaned that week, and no single session lasted longer than 20 minutes. She did not spend her Saturday on her knees scrubbing. She spent it at the market or visiting family. The modern approach is to let everything build up and then spend 4 hours on a weekend blitz. Your grandmother spread the work across 5 days and never spent more than an hour total. She was not just cleaning. She was managing her time with a system that professional cleaners now charge £25 an hour to replicate. Here is my challenge. Pick 3 tricks from this list and use them this week. The newspaper on windows, the bicarbonate in the oven, the vinegar spray on your worktops. Then come back and tell me your grandmother was wrong. Tell me that £168 a year on cleaning products is better than a bottle of vinegar and a box of bicarbonate. I tested every single one of these. My windows have not been this clean since I moved in. My drains run clear. My brass letterbox looks brand new. Share which tricks you are going to try in the comments. And if your grandmother had a cleaning secret that did not make this list, I want to hear it. Because these women were not just cleaning houses. They were running them on almost nothing and doing it better than we do today.